like to call to order the Harrison County Board of Education. It's considered a special board meeting, and it's certainly a special evening for us. It's a yearly event. It's filled with a lot of joy and sadness. We're happy for all of you that you're retiring, but we're sad to see you go. So first item on the agenda this evening will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Dr. Burchett. The flag is back here in the corner. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a couple of housekeeping items. The restrooms, you can go out this door to my right and go up by the auditorium, or you can also go to my left and out by the gymnasium if you need to go to the restroom. So we will get started without any further ado. Dr. Burchett.
Thank you, Mrs. Carey. Welcome. On behalf of the Board of Education and the Cynthiana Harrison County community, I want to welcome our friends, family, colleagues, and most importantly, our retirees. This year is unique that we are celebrating retirees from both the 2019-20 school year and the 2020-21 school years. Before I begin, I want to speak just a minute about the order of tonight's recognition. I didn't make out the order for tonight, but somehow, given the events over the past year, it seems fitting. As educators and education support professionals, we always strive to be first in just about everything we do in life. Since our primary reason for working as part of the public education team is to help all children excel to the best of their abilities, then if we are first as a class, a grade, a school, or a district, then that means our students are excelling to a very, very high degree. Friendly competition is a healthy characteristic that many of our team members possess, but probably nowhere is that more evident than in the role of the principal. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of one of our retiring administrators who actually retired last year, and it's my honor to get to speak on her behalf. Principals fight for their students. They fight for their staff, their school community. They strive to provide their team with the knowledge, training, and resources necessary to be the best. This is true here amongst our elementary schools at East, West, North, and South. That rivalry between those four schools is something that you all are well aware of, and as they all try to be the best, and they've got their own little mottos and own little things that they say. Now, we've been working on that, and I'm proud to say that even last year when Ms. Hill was here and now with Mr. Powers and our team, they're collaborating very well together, and we're all working to elevate all of Harrison County, because we know that someday we all will be together. But this became very evident to me even before I officially started in this position approximately 2 years ago. Of the four principals in those positions at that time, no one was more committed to their students, staff, and the community they serve than Miss Sharon Hill. Come on up, Miss Hill. Come on up. Thank you. And sit in the rocking chair.
They were trying to get your attention.
Thank you, Miss Mary Jane. Why didn't you just tell me?
Well, next time I will stop.
Again, no one is more committed to their students, staff, and the community that they serve than Miss Sharon Hill. Sharon is a competitor, a fighter, and in some instances, sometimes maybe even a swindler, if that's what it took, and if that was what was necessary for her students to succeed. One of her principal colleagues might even accuse Miss Hill of bribery. As I can attest, and I'm wearing it today, I have received more than a couple of cinnamon rolls from the Burley Market, homemade cakes from her kitchen, and other delicious foods throughout the school year. As a principal, Sharon was a pioneer. She wasn't afraid to step outside the box. Even if it wasn't official, I noticed an operational motto for kids of whatever it takes. She started an elementary drama club, hosting dinner theater events. She often dressed in character costumes. She supported health and wellness in her students through activities such as Girls on the Run, of course, the presidential physical fitness programs. I hear that one day, Mr. David Case may have had to have a discussion with her regarding moving her office to the roof. I don't know about that. When it came to her staff, she's guilty. I guess guilty as thought. Yeah. Yeah, twice.
It's quiet up there.
I bet it was. When it came to her staff, she was always doing something special for them. Home-cooked foods, dessert treats, extra resources to help make their jobs easier. This is a special example. In one instance, she asked a staff member to drop her young baby off to her, which she coddled for several hours that evening, so that teacher could get a much-needed evening of rest. You see, she knew, and she recognized that for her staff to be the best that they could for her students, she needed to remove their greatest barriers, and this was just one small way, in this particular instance, that she could help. Sharon is not just a great educator. She is first and foremost a family person. She's a loving wife, daughter, mother, grandmother, sister, aunt, and I'm sure special family person to many adopted children. Sharon does for and cares for her family dearly, but none more than her mother Joyce and her husband Patrick. Her sons John and Nick, now grown with spouses of their own, have blessed Sharon as the grandmother of two young boys, Connor and Weston. After raising her own family to school age, Sharon began her career a little later in life than most of us as a non-traditional student. She was hired as an elementary teacher, I believe in the 4th grade, is that correct? At Westside Elementary.
Started out in second. That's primary.
In 1993. She taught there until June of 2004, when she was hired at Northside as their new principal in July of that year. She remained, and this is an amazing figure, she remained as principal of Northside for the next 16 years of her career, until retirement in June of 2020. Sharon's dedication and commitment to public service on behalf of the students of Harrison County Public Schools is an example for all of us. It is something she and her family can be proud of for years to come, for the rest of her life. When you retire from public education, you know that feeling. And I've had the opportunity to meet with the retirees on previous occasions and work with some of them, and have another opportunity in the future. And it's a special family. Last year, when she became certain of her retirement plans, I asked Sharon how she was planning on spending her time after retirement. And she just looked at me and she smiled. She got that big grin on her face and said she was going to dedicate more of her time to her family. If you knew Sharon at that time, we knew that the struggles that her mother was going through and her trying to balance, torn between being there at school for school kids and being there for her family. But she did an amazing job with that, and if she sacrificed anything, it was herself. I know she has dedicated that time to her family and much, much more. One might think that as Grammy of two young boys, Connor and Weston, Sharon would have plenty to keep her busy, but not enough for this go-getter. After her legally required 90 days of abstinence from public education, Sharon was eager to once again help in any way possible. During this unprecedented year, Sharon has continued to serve in any capacity for which she was called, which was easy for a former principal, because from time to time, if you all know that principal role, they have to be ready to fill in any role in the school. I'm certain she had done them all at one time or another throughout her career. But so everybody here understands, this last year, as a retiree, during the 2020-2021 school year, during the pandemic year, Sharon Hill has served as an instructional assistant, school receptionist, food service worker, teacher, unofficially as the principal when the principal wasn't there that day, and now summer school instructor. She even served maybe a day or two as the district receptionist. Did I leave anything else out? ESS coordinator. Librarian.
You didn't drive a bus, did you?
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. So, I didn't leave anything else out, but I'm going to say, given her experience with vintage cars, next year, Miss Hill, Chief Blackburn is going to get her trained in the transportation department. And Mr. Schweitzer is going to try her out in maintenance. No, just kidding. But Miss Hill, I'll say this. As a first-year superintendent last year, I learned a lot from you. And you continue to set an example for our community. You are a model of community service. Thank you. We've got, so everybody knows, every retiree tonight will receive a couple of things. One, the rocking chair that Ms. Hill sat in, we have one, as those of you that have been at these before, we have one for each retiree. I'll go ahead and get that out of the way. Mr. Schweitzer, as being as prepared as he always is, they're actually outside in a trailer, a box trailer, and they will be available for pickup concluding this ceremony. And if you don't have means to transport that home tonight, then we will have them for you at the central office, which you can pick them up at a later date. But make sure you come and get them, because last year there were some that didn't pick them up. Also, we have a very nice print, and Ms. Brunker is going to give Ms. Hill the print of Northside Elementary, I believe.
Thank you. Congratulations.
As well as her plaque that goes on the back of her rocker. And it says, Sharon Hill, by word and deed, your presence has enriched the lives of students and served as an example for all. Harrison County Schools, June 3rd, 2021.
I want to thank everybody for coming out. It was really crazy because last year at the beginning of the school year, I did say, this is it. Dr. Birch, it's not anything against you. I know you're just coming in new, but this is going to be it for me. And all year long, he kept saying, you sure? You sure you want to do that? And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And I just kept thinking, people would say, are you going to sub? And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'll see how kids treat those subs. I'm not doing that. And since buses started rolling, of course, they were a little bit late getting started this year, but I don't know. It was a depressing thing not being a part of it. When you've been a part of something so long, and you think, okay, now who am I? Yes, I'm a grandmother, and yes, I'm a teacher, and yes, I'm a daughter, and a wife, but it was just felt like there wasn't enough. So I thought, I'm going to sign up to sub. This is going to be crazy. I'm going to do this. And it was so much like going back the first year that I taught, because I'll never forget those first years. And I said, I can't believe they're paying me to do this. To come in and do this all day long and spend the time with children and watching them learn and grow. And it's just such a fulfilling feeling. And of course, many of you here know what I'm talking about. But you lose some of that over the years, and then as a principal, it became such a different role that even though I loved seeing the children in the hallway, and I would get little glimpses of that growth, it wasn't the same as being in there and being responsible for all that growth, being that one-on-one person that they depended on. It was just such a different thing. And like Dr. Burchett said, I did do several other things, you know. My hat off to the food service ladies. You know, I said, for what I did, what I went in there and did, it was a piece of cake. Because, I mean, I was like, okay, I can count out 8 corn dogs and send it on the way. I don't have to worry if I'm going to have a sub today, or if, you know, a teacher's going to have a discipline problem. I could do that part, but I didn't have to make any of those decisions. But I know those ladies who do. And I know the support they need every day in that job as well. You know, as far as being a bus driver, there's no way I would even think about doing that. I might monitor. I might be a bus monitor, because I've ridden the bus a few times, but I don't know. It's just different. It's just different, and I love it. And you know, it's just the appreciation that I have to have been a part of this group and be a part of Harrison County school system and all that it entails. You know, my hat's off to this board for being so forward thinking and finally pushing and going to get a new school here in Harrison County. I know that's a big decision, and I know over the years there's been lots of pushbacks because I've attended those meetings, but I'm glad that you all continue to push that way for the children of Harrison County, because it's going to be a great thing. It's going to be a great thing. But now, I get to speak about Glenda Northcutt. So Glenda, if you'll come take the hot seat. Glenda retired last year. When I did, I think she didn't want to have to break in another principal, because I think she's had several there throughout the years. She graduated from Kentucky Christian College in 1990. And she started at Westside Elementary in 1990 as a Chapter 1 reading teacher for 4th and 5th grade. And she taught there for about 3.5 years. And was Mr. Wills the principal when you were there? Mr. Richard Wills. So she was there, and then she moved to Northside to work in special education as an emergency certified teacher. And in 1996, she received her learning and behavior disorder certification from the University of Kentucky. And I think at that time, David hired you? David Case.
Well, I worked half a semester for Ted Sullivan.
Okay, so you worked a little bit for Ted, and then you went to David, and then Sam Callan came after that, and then she was with me for 16 years. And so we've had some pretty good times. I mean, you know, being in a special education resource room, you know, you definitely have some interesting things that have happened. Some things we've laughed about, and things we've cried about, and things we've stressed about. But during her 27 years at Northside, she was always serving in the field of special education, and it does take a special person that's willing to give your heart to that, because being an educator itself is very taxing, but being in a resource room with little children who have truly special needs, depending on you for everything throughout the day, from tying their shoes to helping them go to the bathroom, to starting to recognize their names, and then to go on and to try to teach them to read. And that's exactly what she did. She's also tutored after school. When we had the Berry tutoring program, she tutored several years down at Berry. She served as the ARC chairperson for Northside. We were talking a little earlier about some of the things that had happened. I remember one little fellow that she had in her class one time. I don't think I had been there very long at all, but, you know, the fire alarm went off, and I knew we weren't having a drill, and I thought, oh, my goodness, what is this? And so we cleared the building, and come to find out, one of Glenda's little boys who's autistic, everything was literal, and, you know, it said, pull here, and that's exactly what he did, walking up the hall. He pulled here, and so it was a building clear. Yeah, he was reading. She had taught him well. But she also had, you know, students that would hardly speak, and to see them grow and start learning a few words, and then finally making the connection to language. And after weeks of practice, you know, beginning to talk and being able to see that progression is just, I know it was overwhelming at times, but it had to be so gratifying at the same time. One day she just, you know, sat in class and cried, but they were happy tears because she knew what she had accomplished that day. And that same student saw her several years later and came up and said, "You always loved me." And, you know, to know that students know how much you care for them is so important. And that's the one thing I can say, watching Glenda, her students definitely knew they cared, that she cared about them and she cared about what happened to them and everything that happened to them day in and day out, whether it was at school or even at home. She said watching her students learn and rise above their challenges meant everything to her, seeing how hard they worked to achieve their goals, and that's one of the reasons she stayed in special education for so many years. She said it's been a privilege and honor to be their teacher. Since retirement, she's had a knee replacement, carpal tunnel surgery. She was able to finally take care of herself for a while because the job, what Glenda did was a lot of times staying late, going in early, coming in on weekends to make sure that she met the needs of every single student in her class. And there were many days that Glenda sat and ate lunch with her students, and there were many days that she didn't have a planning time because she had students K through 2 in her classroom, and they all had different special schedules. And so she was willing to sacrifice that time for planning to make sure that she was in there with the other students, making sure they got what they needed. She also does a lot of volunteering at Central Christian Church. She's part of the community food program. She's a Sunday school teacher, Bible school director, and sponsoring the youth program. She's enjoying her time, spending her time with family and friends, keeping up with a gaggle of giggling nieces. She's getting ready to get getting a nephew, I think, as we speak. And expecting another nephew to be born within the next couple of weeks. She said she always felt that her class was a mission field. She hopes that she made a difference in the lives of the many children she served, and it's been an honor to work as a teacher for the Harrison County school system. She said she hopes to continue working for the school system as a substitute teacher next school year, and we'll see how that goes.
Right.
It sounds like another great adventure, and I'm hoping that maybe we'll end up in the same building sometime. But it has been a pleasure to be Glenda's principal because I knew how much she cared for children and what a special job she did every day. So, you're very welcome. Thank you.
Excuse me, Ms. Northcutt.
I'm trying to get away.
Here's your grant.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you for your service.
Kind of afraid to take my mask off. I've been wearing one for so long, I don't remember if I shaved today or not. And I've been holding my mouth in such funny ways lately because nobody can see it. I'm not sure it's ever going to go back to normal, so we'll see. Jerry Enser, would you come on up front, please? I was sitting in my office this morning and a lady walked in. She said, "Looks like you're in really deep thought. You're struggling with something." I said, "Yeah, I've got to speak at Jerry's retirement tonight, and I'm trying to think of something good to say." So, truth is, I could never say enough good about Jerry because when I went to the bus garage about 6 years ago, I'm not even really sure I could spell bus properly. And Jerry was one of the driver trainers and took me under her wing and really helped me do the right things. So I promise you I can't say enough good things about her, but I'll probably throw some good things in here with some bad tonight, but we'll see anyway. I did ask Jerry a little bit about her background because most of what we do at work is business, of course, because we're pretty busy over there. But she told me that she drove a bus in Pendleton County for 16 years prior to coming to Harrison County, and then she has driven a bus for us for 8 years, and I guess 9 now, because even though she retired last year, she's subbed a lot for us this year. And she also told me, and I did know this, but I didn't know the entirety of the capacity, that she worked for the state court system for 24 years before she was a bus driver. And she said she was in jail a lot. Oh no, I'm sorry. She said she was in a lot of jails. That's what she said. I misunderstood. But she said she worked for the entire state of Kentucky court system for all counties except for Fayette and Jefferson. So I asked her this afternoon what she liked about driving the school bus, and I'm going to tell you a story in a second that I think is one of the things she liked. She probably didn't tell me, but she of course said she liked driving the kids, and she also talked about the fact that she was authorized to drive a manual transmission bus, which made me feel good because I'm authorized to drive a manual school bus, so it made me feel just a little bit younger that maybe I wasn't the only one old enough to do that. Lots of people can, but they maybe can't legally. Occasionally I have to sub-drive a school bus, and I had to sub-drive for Jerry a few times. And I remember every time I would stop and pick up a child, they would always say, "Where's Miss Jerry? Where's Miss Jerry?" It kind of hurt my feelings at first that, you know, what's wrong with me? But they would ask me where Miss Jerry was. And then one day I was driving across the railroad track down at, I guess on Bridge Street down by Valero there. And the road was kind of rough that day, so I did all of our procedures we have to do to go across the railroad track. And it was kind of bumpy, and one of the special needs children that rode the bus came up to me and said, "You know, Miss Jerry, she goes across that railroad track a lot smoother than you do." So that kind of hurt my feelings just a little bit too. But anyway, the best thing I can tell you about Jerry is, as I said, she took me under her wing, and I can't thank her enough for the things that she did for me personally and for the bus garage. And even though she retired last year, she has come back and helped a lot. Most notably, Jerry served as a driver trainer. So she and I am qualified to be a driver trainer myself, although I probably never would try to train somebody to drive a school bus. But I can tell you the course, it's only a week long, but it's a grueling week that you have to go to do this. So I'm sure she feels like I do. I'm never going to let my driver trainer qualifications lapse, because I'm never going to that driver trainer course again. And I think she feels that way too. But I do appreciate Jerry, and I wish her the best in all she does, and she continues to help me. But she's been a good friend. She's a very safe person, one of the safest drivers we've had. In fact, I've only had, to tell you how safe she is, I've only had one complaint on her in 6 years. And the complaint I had was she was driving out on Republican Pike one day, and she drives so safely and so slowly that one of the Amish buggies passed her on a double yellow line. And the guy complained that he got a ticket because he passed her on a double yellow line. Of course, that's not true. Anyway, Jerry, I do appreciate all you've done for me, and I appreciate all you've done for Harrison County and the kids. And I should have mentioned earlier that she did drive a special needs bus, and it takes a special person to drive a special needs bus. But I can tell you all the kids loved her. And to this day, I see them, even when they see her, "There's Miss Jerry," and they come up and hug her over me, which again still hurts my feelings, but they do that. So Jerry, I certainly wish you the best.
I want to thank everybody, and yes, I do enjoy driving a school bus. If I didn't, I would have came back to it after retiring from the state. So thank you very much, and everybody be safe.
Congratulations, Jerry. It's the bus drive, and then this is to go. And thank you for all your years of service.
I don't have to adjust the microphone very much. Thank you, Mr. Blackburn. I'm gonna leave him alone. He's a great guy. I'm here this afternoon to honor Jolene Conley. And Mrs. Conley started her teaching career in August of 2002. During her 18 years of service, she taught 4th grade, 2nd grade, and kindergarten. Jolene retired at the end of last school year, so let's see if some of these things ring true for Jolene. You know you're retired if you eat all fruits except apples. You still hear the sound of the bell and the intercom, especially if you still live by the school. You avoid cafeteria-style restaurants. You refuse to own red pens for the rest of your life. And every day feels like a summer break. I'm not sure about that one today. On a personal note, I first met Jolene as an instructional coach. I was new to the district, and she made me feel very welcome from that very first day. I recall her willingness to show continuous improvement as a teacher. We spent many hours after school planning lessons, learning best practices as instructional leaders in our school, discussing how to better serve students. The best way I can describe Jolene is with one word: giving. I recall times where she held a kindergarten student's hand if they were scared, taught a lesson about filling someone else's bucket with kindness, reading the story The Kissing Hand to students, and easing fears about starting school and helping them understand that they had caring adults at school too. Jolene's giving spirit allowed her to take time to listen, encourage, and motivate. As a wife, mother, and grandmother, Jolene shows that same giving spirit to her family. When her daughter Morgan unexpectedly passed away, Jolene showed that same giving nature to make the difficult decision to retire from teaching and to raise her grandchildren, Carsey and Lincoln. I admire Jolene's selfless acts during this difficult time. 1, to immediately begin raising her grandchildren as her own, and 2, to make the decision to retire from the teaching profession because she couldn't give it her very fullest potential. Jolene, thank you so much for your 18 years of teaching service. Thank you for making a difference in the lives of the students you taught. Thank you for being part of the Eastside Elementary and Harrison County team. Congratulations and enjoy your retirement.
And I'm here to honor Miss Cindy Harden today. Cindy Harden, what a legend. If anybody knows me well, LeBron James is my favorite basketball player. I think he's the greatest of all time. I know there's several people here that probably think Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time, so I'll do this analogy for those as well. But Cindy Harden is the LeBron of lunch ladies, or the Michael Jordan of lunch ladies. She started as a sub at Westside Elementary. I've heard the story a bunch of times. But she was a sub out there, and at that time, there were a lot of issues in that kitchen. And at that time, when the state did a review of you, they just randomly showed up. They didn't give you any warning they were coming. But one day, they showed up and found all kinds of issues, and they ended up cleaning house at Westside and that entire kitchen staff. And they hired Cindy there to be part of the rebuild there. And she rebuilt that kitchen, which is part of her gift. She was there for several years, and then a similar event happened at another school
middle school. And they needed to rebuild that kitchen. And who did they turn to? Cindy Harden. And she went to the middle school and rebuilt that kitchen. Fast forward a couple more years, and then at the high school, we had a similar situation. This was when I was a part of the district. And so we had a lot of issues, and we needed to do another rebuild. And who did we call on? Cindy Harden. And she rebuilt that kitchen. She should honestly have her own reality show called Kitchen Rescue. Because literally, she's the best at it. She has a certain gift, and I always say Cindy has the mind of an engineer. She has the ability to, you can ask her, you can have an idea of how to do something, and she can think in her head how to do it without actually having ever done it before. I don't know what you would call that kind of brain, but she's just a master at that kind of thing. And the best example of this was recently. I remember back on March 6th, I got a call from Dr. Burchett. He said, I need you to come to my office immediately, which was on a Saturday, which made me very nervous because whenever your boss calls you on a Saturday and says you have to come to this office very soon on a Saturday, it can't be good. But then we went up there, we found out we had a case of COVID-19 in Harrison County. So we had all the district leaders up there. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do. And Dr. Burchett says, we've got to figure out a way to feed these kids. School's going to be closed for 2 weeks, and I want to be able to feed them. Can you do it? And I was like, sure, I can do it. But deep down, I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. Because we literally had 36 hours to completely retool our entire operation to be a drive-through and delivery service. So I remember I was kind of pacing back and forth. I talked to the state and told them what was up, and they're like, all right, well, legally we can't tell you can do this, but just do it anyway, and we'll cover that later. But they're like, how are you going to do that? And I was like, I don't know. So the first person I called was Cindy. I was like, this is what's happening. This is what we're going to have to do. What are we going to do? I remember clear as day, she goes, oh, we'll figure it out. She was not scared at all. She was never rattled. And that's the thing that I remember most about Cindy is she didn't get rattled about anything. There was no task that was too big for her to figure out. Any process there was, she could figure it out. As a food service director, I went to school to be a dietitian, and we do have food service courses that we take, like 2 of them. It's not a whole lot. It's really more geared towards hospital food service than anything. So when I took this job, I really didn't have a whole lot of background in school food service. So I had a lot of big ideas and a lot of big dreams that I wanted to accomplish here, and I found out very quick that it was a lot more difficult to do those things. But for Cindy, accomplishing things in the cafeteria, she made it look easy. I've seen her transform this cafeteria into a Charizard-themed theme park for a certain student. Every Christmas, we played Christmas music, and she decorated the cafeteria. We served hot cocoa and cookies to the kids. Every holiday meal, she made sure that we served a traditional holiday meal. For Thanksgiving, we served a traditional Thanksgiving meal. And she always said, we do it this way because there are several kids in this district, a large portion, that don't get this at home. So I want them to at least be able to have one good meal they can remember. And the kids appreciate it. The kids get excited. They know when you care, just like with a teacher. A good teacher cares about their students, and the students can see that. And we've already heard examples of that today when the student approaches teacher. They did the same thing to Cindy and her girls. She cared. I've seen her have student workers in her kitchen. We let students come in and work and earn money during the school day, and several of them maybe came from some of not the best homes. Some of them would come to school with holes in their shoes or holes in their clothes. And on that last day of school before Christmas break came out, there would always be Christmas presents underneath that tree for those students to take home with school supplies, shoes, clothes, things that those students needed that they didn't get at home. That's not something that the school district bought. That was something that Cindy and her girls bought. She cared about everybody she came in contact with. She was a therapist to her workers. She was a therapist to me. And honestly, I consider her as my mentor, even though on paper that should be reversed. But I've learned more about my job from Cindy than I could have ever done in any kind of class, in any kind of college degree that I could have gotten, because she's done it. Caring for people is what Cindy does. She's given so much time beyond exactly what she was paid to do. Her attention to detail is unmatched. So much so that we had a state review one year, and KDE came in, and they always pick the high school for some reason to review. I don't know why, it's supposed to be random, but every year that I've been here that they did a review, they reviewed the high school. But the first time they came, they were so impressed. A week after the review, I get a call from KDE, and they said, "We were so impressed with your high school manager. We're doing a training course for food service directors it was in Louisville." They said, "We want Cindy to come down and teach a course." And they only picked 3 managers across the district to do that. And one of them was from Jefferson County. The other one was from Owensboro, I believe. And they picked Cindy Harden from Harrison County, Kentucky, one of the smaller districts in the state. They could see what I saw in Cindy and just about how good she was at her job. This is an end of an era for Harrison County Food Service. It won't be the same. It'll be different. Being different is not necessarily a bad thing, but it'll never be the same. And her impact on the lives of her staff, her students, and their school building, and me, will last forever. And I just want to thank you for all your years of service. I'm going to miss you, but you've done so much taking care of other people. I want you to take care of yourself and your family. So no one deserves retirement like you do, and I'm just happy for you. Thank you.
Cindy.
So when Dana Waits emailed me, the 2 individuals that I would be talking about tonight, I thought, well, this is a piece of cake. They're not too easy or 2 people easier to say nice things about than the 2 I'm going to talk about. However, so I started working on it, and as I got into it, I realized it's going to be a little harder than I thought. And it's not because there's not oodles of nice things to say, because there is Gina and there is Linda. But I just am afraid I'm not going to do both of you justice. But I hope I do. So Linda, come on up. Miss Linda Stubbs. I've known Miss Linda Stubbs most of my life. Went to church with her when I was a little girl, and she was a friend of my mother's. And they were in the Helping Hands Circle together and got to know Linda that way. But like I said, I've known her my whole life, and I knew before working with her that what a great lady she is. Linda's a true Christian. She's a kind and caring lady who I think the world of. Linda has 4 great children, and I think 3 of them are here tonight. One of them would be here, but I think she's in Germany. But Gary and Erica and Jordan, 3 of Linda's children. And I tease Linda a little bit. Linda raised kids for, 40 years. She kind of had one set, and then a few years later had another set. So they're for a long time, she had kids running in and out of her house. So now she does again with grandkids. But she has 4 great kids, and she has 6 beautiful grandkids. And I think, is there 2 of them here tonight or 3? 2 of them here tonight. And their names, just so we can say those, are Haley, Claire, Abby, Audrey, Benjamin, and Jacob. I tell you, I consider myself lucky to have had the opportunity to work closely with Linda. She probably doesn't know it, or maybe she does. I don't know, or maybe didn't show it like I should have, but she has been a tremendous mentor and role model for me over the years. Linda began her employment with Harrison County Board of Education in 1999, that fall, She was hired as an elementary school bookkeeper, and she split her time between West Side and South Side, and she did that for 6 years. And then in the fall of 2005, she became a full-time bookkeeper at South Side. The next year, Linda was hired as the high school bookkeeper. Completely different job, same kind of title, but a completely different job. Many people don't know this, but that position at the high school bookkeeper is one of the hardest jobs in the district. And I think anybody who'd ever done that could probably tell you that. It is an extremely hard job. But once hired, Linda began an arduous task of implementing all the fun Red Book procedures and policies and making sure that all the rules and regulations were being followed to the letter of the law. But if you know Linda, she didn't do it with an iron fist. Linda did it with a kind heart, kind words, and a firm stance. And she kind of turned some things around for us at the high school. She worked there for 10 years, tirelessly, to make sure all student funds were accounted for, they were correctly accounted for, and that all the proper procedures were being followed. She set the tone for all bookkeepers that will come after her there at that school on how to take care of the students' money and how to do it like a pro. Then in October of 2016, Linda accepted the job as the district payroll bookkeeper. And that's where she learned where really the hardest job in the district is. Sorry, Dr. Burchett, I believe it's harder than yours. Again, she applied her patience, her thoughtfulness, her kindness, her values, and her sense of fairness. And again, she did it like a pro. Her dedication to the district was amazing. She worked nights and weekends. She worked fall break, spring break, Christmas break, whatever it took to get the job done and to get it done well. While Linda worked as the payroll bookkeeper, everything in her life revolves around payday and getting that payroll ready into the bank before payday. And this is the truth when I tell you that she had her daughter Sam schedule the delivery of her 2 boys around Harrison County Board of Education payday because she wanted to be there. So that's dedication. Linda was not only a dedicated employee, but she was and still is a great friend to everybody she worked with. She spoiled us with cakes, cookies, and other baked goods. Many of us have received the cute crafts that she makes and shares. She writes notes of encouragement when someone needs a kind word. But most importantly, Linda was a great listener for whoever might have had a problem and needed a shoulder to lean on. I've cried to her myself more than once. We miss her so much since she retired. She's a wise and strong lady, and she brought a calming and peaceful presence to our office. Although we do miss her, we're so happy for her to have the opportunity to retire and do the things she wants. She's more than earned it. I know she's baking because she still brings us treats. She's spending time with her children and grandchildren. She is probably yard selling if she can find one. And I know she's been planning a trip to Germany since last fall. So I think she's probably going to get to go this coming fall to see Samantha, her daughter, who lives over there. And we miss you dearly, but we couldn't be happier for you and for your family. Miss Gina Owsley. Gina's scared somebody's gonna say something mean about her. Or make her do her retirement dance she's been doing for 3 months. Oh. Gina Owsley. Gina is not a native of Harrison County. Some people may not know that because she's been here so long. But she was born in Lexington, and it was there that she first developed her impeccable work ethic. She started working at a young age. I think she told me she was 14 years old when she started as a ticket taker at the Kentucky Theater. 15, okay, 15, and maybe had to lie to them so they would hire her. But she wanted to work. And also it was an opportunity for her to see movies, because she loves movies, loves going to the movies and avid moviegoer. Gina's mom worked long hours to care for her family, so Gina pitched in at home and grew up caring for her siblings, in addition to school and in addition to work. She eventually made her way to Indiana, and along the way, she had two beautiful girls, Nikki and Nina. Nina's here with us tonight. In August of 1993, Gina was hired as an instructional assistant at Northside Elementary School. I believe she worked with Miss Lona Rohr. She continued in that position through the spring of 1998. Then she took a position as the district health assistant and Medicaid clerk. Her new position was based out of what was then the Community Education Center, but what is now Central Office. That would be the second time Gina had worked in that building, because she'd worked there years before when it was the Jockey Underwear Factory. So when she returned here in her new position, she knew it was a good fit and felt like home. Gina eventually made her way into a bookkeeping personnel position a few years later. She continued as a bookkeeper for many years until August of 2018, when she transitioned to take over the front desk receptionist position at Central Office. Gina's had many extra job duties over the year. She served on a committee and was instrumental in helping Whitney Fowler get our preschool program started here in Harrison County. For several years, Gina would get up at 6 a.m. to call substitute teachers for the district. So did Linda Stubbs. I forgot that one. They both were sub-callers. Gina has helped with food service paperwork. She's the copier machine expert. She's the go-to for a stopped-up toilet in our building. Or when we're out of coffee or postage or paper or whatever we're out of. She's planned a slew of baby showers and wedding showers, office retirement parties, and Thanksgiving meals. She decorates, but she does not cook, so don't ask her to cook. She'll tell you she does not cook. But outside of that, she's pretty much done it all. Those early jobs and responsibilities that Gina had as a young girl in Lexington helped to mold her into the outstanding employee she is today. Her work ethic never wavers. She is here at work every day. She's ready to work every day. She's happy to work every day and always appreciates her job. Gina has been such a blessing for everyone who has worked with her in any position she's held. However, I believe it's her last position here at Central Office that really gave her an opportunity to shine. Her sweet demeanor, her happy disposition, and her genuine smile have been the cornerstone for our building for the last 3 years. She greets every employee, every parent, every student, every board member, every community member in such a kind and caring way. She's an example we all should follow. For the last year and a half, she's done it at a distance and through a mask, but she's still done it well. She's got a hyper fear of COVID. And behind plexiglass too. But when Gina leaves us in August, she'll have completed over 28 years of service with the Harrison County School District. Fayette County's loss was definitely Harrison County's gain. We'll miss her sweet smile and warm welcome more than words can say. However, I'm so happy for her to be able to go home and rest and spend some time with her beautiful granddaughters, Haley, Bailey, and Aubrey, sit by our pool, and go see some good movies.
You want to say something?
Thank you.
That was it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything. Thank you. Let me just say one thing.
Okay.
This, working with the Harrison County School System is the best job, best place I've ever worked. They've been very good to me. Thank you.
Kathy Grayson, everybody. I first met Kathy 21 years ago when my wife moved from kindergarten to 4th grade, and she and Kathy taught together. And then I got to begin working with her 19 years ago. And it has been a joy and a privilege ever since. Kathy is here this evening with her husband, Kevin. I think her daughters, Megan and Laney, are enjoying the last few days with their children before Kathy goes into full retired grandparent mode and refuses to share them. Kathy Grayson began her Harrison County Schools career as the secretary at Eastside Elementary. I think she was there 3 years. Fortunately for me, our staff, and hundreds of students, she made the decision to teach and moved into a classroom at Westside. Mrs. Grayson was one of those teachers who treated all of her students like her own kids. She loved them, expected a lot from them, praised and corrected them, and worried about them when they were not with her. When I was first hired as principal, a 29-year-old without a clue, Kathy Grayson was one of the first to congratulate me. She was also quick to jump in and volunteer when things needed to get done. If you know her, then you know she gets things done. And being such an advanced planner as she is, she also regularly asked me questions about things that were a month or 2 or 3 away. And that global perspective and forward thinking were invaluable to a new guy just starting out. And like Austin was saying earlier, she probably taught me more about my job in those first couple of years, and knowing that what needed to be important to me was what was important to my teachers, and what I needed to be thinking about were those things my teachers were thinking about. And so, Kathy, I will forever be grateful to you for that. To the best of my knowledge, or at least as long as I've known her, Kathy only taught in 2 grades. Is that right? No? What? Pardon us for a minute. So what? Okay. Wait, the 4-month split, right. I guess I wasn't thinking about that one. Okay, I guess you got taught second grade too. Since I've known her. 4th grade, and then moved to 3rd grade right before I came to Westside. And I think she liked 3rd grade because she had her daughter Laney come in and give her room a custom paint job, and then told me I could never move her out of that room. And so she's been there ever since, well, until now. 3rd grade liked her too. She has spent the last several years as half of a highly successful 3rd grade team, and she will be sorely missed. Personally, I've enjoyed Kathy's support over the years. We've been through several changes in education in the last 2 decades, and teachers don't always get excited about those changes. But Kathy was always ready to dig in and get the job done and figure out what needed figuring out and help the people around her figure it out too. And that example to the young, less experienced staff was invaluable in making those transitions as smooth as possible. Staff didn't just look to Kathy, though, for professional example. She was a friend to all. She's certainly a dear friend to me. People went to Kathy when they needed to laugh, and they went to Kathy when they needed to cry. And they went to Kathy when they needed to pray, and they went to Kathy when they needed to cuss. You never knew what you were going to find when you walked past Kathy's room, unless there were students in there. If there were students in there, what you were going to find was a bunch of students working hard and Kathy making sure that they did. Because, again, she always had high expectations for her kids. She made sure they knew it, and she made them work until they met them. And there's not a greater legacy I think that you could leave, other than the fact that you probably even loved them more than you expected from them. Kathy, I'm going to miss you. We're all going to miss you. Never doubt that you have made a lasting impact on countless lives. Congratulations on your retirement. It is well deserved.
Thank you. He also forgot to mention, I'll always remember this. He came to observe me on Halloween, dressed as a pirate with 30 minutes notification. That was an experience I'll never forget. Loved it.
And the lesson was flawless.
Good evening, and a hearty congratulations to every one of you that are retiring tonight. A lot of experience and a lot of talent that we'll lose, and I certainly hope we have the talent to replace them. So, I will start tonight. One word. One word that encompasses the attributes of Debbie Pulliam's career at Harrison County Middle School as an art teacher. That word, professional. For the last 14 years, Debbie Pulliam has served the students and staff of Harrison County Middle School in the utmost professional way. But before we detail that journey, it's important to walk back and highlight Debbie's own educational path. Debbie's college career started in 1979, when I was in 5th grade, by attending Kentucky Christian College, now University. She then moved to Morehead State and received a Bachelor's of Art degree in graphic design in 1983. That degree was followed up with yet another bachelor's degree in art education from the University of Kentucky in 1990. Ultimately, she concluded her formal schooling in 1997 when she was awarded a master's degree in art education from Georgetown College with an additional K-12 endorsement. From there, her professional career weaved itself throughout a number of different stops. Her first stint was to the north from 1991 to 95, teaching 7th and 8th grade art in Pendleton County. This was followed up with a trip south on US 27 to our very own Harrison County High School, where she taught for 2 years from 95 to 97. Perhaps her most demanding, yet most rewarding stop followed her 2 years at the high school. As she put it, from 1997 to 2003, she taught early childhood education as a mother to 2 fine young sons in Dylan and Zach. Speaking as a son whose mother led a long and fine tenure in that same role, I extend my utmost respect. How rewarding it is for you as a mom to look back on those early years of their education and fast forwarding a present-day gaze upon 2 truly fine young men. That initial start they received from you, particularly over those first 6 years, set them on a solid path that's helped lead them to where they are today. Mission accomplished, Debbie Pulliam. From 2003 to 2007, various long-term substitute positions throughout Harrison County elementary schools occupied Debbie's professional career. But it's her most recent destination that's brought me to this podium and you to this rocker. The last 14 years of her professional life, Debbie has been a pillar of professionalism in our middle school exploratory department. Along with the likes of Mrs. Julie Lucky and Glenn Loneker, Debbie has helped lead a strong and successful Explore and Fine Arts department. I can say this about my belief in the arts. I have a tangible and noticeable appreciation for something I readily know takes talent and disciplined practice to achieve at high levels. That can be said in both music and in art. Day after day and year after year, you've pushed yourself and students to maximize their skills and talents. 14 years ago, Debbie set out on a course to change student mindsets that for several years saw art as, quote, I can't do that. I'm not good at that. She dug relentlessly and found talent where talent hadn't surfaced. She positively pushed students to levels students themselves thought they couldn't reach. I come back to where I started this speech. Professional. Debbie has been the consummate professional for all of these 14 years. If professional was the one word, then there are a few distinguishing traits that readily come to my mind when I think of Debbie. Her displays of art work were always fresh and varying and highlighted student performance constantly. It was always a significant treat to walk the cafeteria hallway, not necessarily looking forward to cafeteria duty, but it was always a significant treat to walk the cafeteria hall with new and cutting-edge student artwork always on display. I was always so impressed with the rigor and artistic expression Debbie pulled out of students. It was a regular occurrence to see a piece of artwork and say, wow, I did not know that that student had that much talent. It was Debbie's leadership who helped dig that out of them It was there, but Debbie had to mine it out of them with discipline, encouragement, and practice. Another thing, she pushed students and herself. Within this aspect, I looked to two different professional items. One, first, the development of an upper-level art class for 8th grade advanced art students. Instead of being satisfied with simply a 9-week Explore-style course offering from 6th to 8th grade, what if we positively pushed and had a full year-long offering in 8th grade to our finest artists? Instead of saying we're content, we both said, let's do this, and it's been with us ever since. Second, with regard to you pushing yourself, she was always relentless at staying relevant with technology by anticipating the curve on readily utilizing computers in her instruction to offer yet another avenue for students to find hidden artistic talent. She was awarded a highly coveted Google Classroom long before viruses of pandemic proportion forced everyone into new ways of teaching. Always staying relevant and cutting edge was a hidden yet valuable and respected professional quality. Debbie, you were certainly a gem of a hire and an even better long-tenured professional at Harrison County Middle School. You will be sorely missed in your role. I wish you nothing but joy and contentment in this new phase of your life. Bless you, your husband Bill, and your two fine sons, Dylan and Zach. Congratulations.
These drawings are actually by one of my former art students from the high school.
Melissa, contrary to following Chief Blackburn, I do have to adjust the microphone. But Mr. McIntyre and I do go to the same barber. And Dr. Burchett, when you mentioned the speaking order, I specifically asked Dana Waits, what did I do wrong to be placed at the end? She assured me that she saved the worst for the last, and it certainly wasn't my 3 retirees, who I will speak to have threatened me and said, you better keep this short. Tammy Free, come on down.
My own family's not even gonna like cheer me on. Okay.
We understand you can't choose your family.
Because my peeps are over there.
Those of you that know Tammy know that it may be difficult to tell a story that we can tell in mixed company. So I'm trying very hard to be professional while also highlighting some of what is Tammy Free. Just to kind of speak to what Tammy meant to Southside and kind of how she ended her career. She called me one morning. School was about to start, we thought. That was during the pandemic. And Tammy said, I need to tell you something. I said, okay, go ahead. What's up? Thinking she needed something for her classroom. She needed something at school. She said, I did a thing last night. And I said, okay, what did you do? She said, I got online and retired. I said, do what? I was at Northside for a 21st century meeting, and I said, I'm going to need to step out. Stepped out, and she said, yeah, I did a thing last night. I got online and retired. I said, well, I think you probably need to call Julie and Candida, because I think they need to know a little bit about this as well. So that started a ball rolling that sped her quickly into retiring. Tammy is a Harrison County native. She spent most of her teaching career at Southside. She's married to a fellow educator, and they've raised 2 boys. But Brian, Connor, and Spencer, above you, above her career, the main thing that matters is a granddaughter. My mother has a sign in her kitchen that said if I'd known grandkids were this much fun, I would have had them first.
Amen.
And I'm confident that is the philosophy that Tammy Free subscribes to. That's the main reason she retired. Rookie needed her, so she got online and she retired. One of the funniest stories that I've heard about Tammy And it's very appropriate that Ms. Hill is here tonight because I believe she was the principal when this occurred. I think Ms. Hill was in a faculty meeting. She was talking about the fundamentals of teaching reading, and she was talking about the importance. Tammy, the ever-loving jokester, raised her hand and said, "What? We're supposed to teach them to read?" It's my understanding that Ms. Hill had a full-blown panic attack and had to be calmed down because, yes, in fact, we were to teach them to read. That is Tammy Free. Needless to say, it was a joke, but I've heard that Ms. Hill was pretty nervous. Tammy was always a big advocate for Jeans Days at Southside, even though she never participated. Mayor Gant described to her that she is very much like a kindergartner. She has clothing issues. She doesn't want tight clothes on, she doesn't want them touching her. So she's always in a dress. But her fellow teachers were always very appreciative of her advocacy for a Jeans Day. Tammy, we hope that this next phase in your life is filled with lots and lots of Brooklyn kisses and hugs, and that you get to spend every minute being the best Pippa that you can. Thank you for your service.
Okay, since I'm retiring and Cindy Hill can't do anything about it now, I'm gonna go ahead and confess that those first few years when we had the math series where you had the problem of the day, I just turned mine every day, Ms. Hill. I never taught that. And everybody got so mad at me because she would always put on my evaluations, "I'm so glad to see that you're doing the problem of the day." And I wasn't. I was doing other things though. Anyway, if you have seen or met my grandbaby, then you'll understand. So I'm proud to be a Pippa, and thank you for everything. And to quote my best friend Ann Wills, peace out.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Miss Blanton, come on down. You're the next contestant on Who's Gonna Retire. Even shorter than that? If you all don't know Miss Blanton, she loves the spotlight. She loves a lot of attention on her. She loves everyone looking at her. That's what she lives for. She lives for closing the door of her classroom and spending time with her babies. And she doesn't want any attention on her. She wants it on her kids. Belinda's been in a few different spots during her career. She was involved in 4-H, which I think is where she met Mr. Harlan Hatter. She grew up in Johnson County, like someone else in the room. She was actually childhood friends with Dr. Burchett's sister. Oh, both sisters. Okay. She taught in Fayette County, but none of that is what brought her to Harrison County. It was the birth of children, not only her own children, that set the path for Belinda to end up at Southside. The birth of her own children had her take time off to be with them, and the birth of a fellow Southside teacher's children that started a friendship where she would find a home at Southside and end her career right here in Harrison County. She worked as a part-day math teacher, where I've been told by many people she spent way more than half a day at school. So Julie, I think the district very much got their money's worth with Belinda. I think we were paying her for a few hours, and I think she was there just as much as a regular teacher. She did a long-term sub-maternity position for Miss Deanna Murdoch, and that set the path for them to be the 5th grade team at Southside and a lasting friendship. Belinda isn't afraid of technology. She's been a Google teacher long before Google was cool. It's rare to find a teacher that is later in their career. I did not say old. I did not say that, Belinda. That's later in her career that is so eager to adopt technology. But Belinda has been using this platform for years to teach. The pandemic year, really the only change for her was she had to get used to the kids not being in front of her. They were just remote. So that was a small change that she had to encounter. She became a resource for many of our other teachers as they had to quickly learn all about virtual teaching. And these were teachers that were brand new in their careers, that were comfortable with technology. They weren't as comfortable as our veteran. She was always willing to assist and assure them that they could handle it. Belinda, for that, we are so grateful that you helped make a trying year much more successful and easier for our other teachers. Belinda, we wish you well in your retirement, and Belinda also has a new grandbaby. She has successfully raised 3 children, but I don't think any of those 3 will compare to the grandson, and he will be the light of her eye for many years, and hopefully the first of many grandkids that Belinda and Scott get to spoil. So Belinda, thank you so much for your service to the kids at Southside and Harrison County.
Would you like to say?
No, thank you.
I thank you so
Thank
much for your
you.
service. Enjoy your retirement.
Belinda was afraid I was going to embarrass her. Everybody watch her walk.
Yay. Now sitting down and getting up.
Everybody look over there. Deanna Six Murdoch. She's another Harrison County native and a rarity. Deanna spent 27 years in Harrison County schools, 27 years at Southside Elementary, 26 years in the same classroom. That doesn't happen very often. And one jerk moved her last year. I know you didn't. Not only was her last year during a pandemic, she had to move classrooms and she had to teach virtually. Like a lot of change, that sounds like a lot of change, doesn't it? Well, Deanna is sometimes a little extra, and this year was no exception. In the fall, Deanna was involved in a very serious motorcycle accident and had to be on a medical leave for much of the fall semester. We are very thankful that her injuries were severe but survivable. That's why I ask you to clap. We've watched Deanna go from completely immobile to moving on a cane, and you saw her walk up here tonight completely unassisted. And we're so thankful that the good Lord blessed her with that. It's been a very tough road to recovery, but if you're friends with her on Facebook, you've seen the hardware that came out of her, and we're glad that the hardware is now on the exterior. She will be back to her old self very soon. Deanna is a teacher that was very quick to always help me put things into perspective at school. She helped me remember that we will get through whatever we are encountering, and at the end of the day, as long as our kids are safe, nothing else matters. She was also quick to let me know if I made a grammar mistake. So these names will mean something to you if you're from Harrison County. I'm a product of Phyllis Wiles and Bill Kaywood, but I still do make grammatical mistakes. And I can always count on a correction from another literary trainee of those distinguished teachers. Deanna never wanted me to be embarrassed, so she always made sure that I could speak well. Deanna is from a family of educators. That's why I mentioned her maiden name. There are 4 immediate family members of Miss Murdoch, and we thank them for their service to Harrison County and specifically to Southside, because all 4 of them have been employees at Southside. We wish Deanna many, many years of home improvement projects for Scott and lots of love from those grandbabies. Nana, congratulations on your retirement, and I hope it's filled with lots and lots of love.
At this time, we'd like to recognize the retirees that were unable to attend this evening. The 2020 retirees are Mary Crump, Luann Boyers, Judy Clevenger, Susan Dickey, Helen Jones, Angie Maddox, Sheila Price, and Terry Whitaker. The 2021 retirees that were unable to join us this evening are Martha Arnold, Candy Copes, Debbie Gray, Carla Hill, Tracy Long, and Paula Rainwater. Again, we'd like to recognize the retirees that are with us this evening: Sharon Hill, Linda Northcutt, Jerry Enzer, Jolene Conley, Cindy Harden, Linda Stubbs, Gina Owsley, Kathy Grayson, Debbie Pulliam, Tammy Free, Belinda Blanton, and Deanna Murdoch. Let's give them all a much-deserved round of applause. This is a very exciting evening and recounting your career at Harrison County Public Schools. We can't thank you enough for your years of service. And I know that you all know a little bit, but when you think back in your mind the number of students that you've impacted, my mom was a retired teacher, and I was always amazed at the kids that would come up and say things to her and how much they had loved her. And that's the same with you all. You're going to see your students because you've done so much to impact them. And we can't thank you enough. Enjoy your retirement and don't be strangers. So thank you again. Do I hear a motion for adjournment? That's the close of our meeting this evening. Motion made by Mr. Taylor. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Brumberg.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you so much, and thanks for joining us this evening.
I'm gonna